abusive relationship, and I came out of that, and my self-esteem was 12 foot under, literally, and I had a little son on my hip, a little baby, and what was I going to do? I didn't have any qualifications other than farming. That's all I knew was farming. I'd been veggie growing, and before that we'd done dairying, of course, with the family. So I literally had to rebuild myself from the ground up, and my incredible mother stood behind me. She was my backbone there for the time it took me to get rolling again. And I came across a rural women's initiative that was run here in Victoria, and there was one spot left when we rang and asked about this initiative that was to run over 3 days, and it was a leadership course. And it was like it was meant to be, this one spot. Anyway, I went to this course, and as part of that, the next step on was a Rural Women's Leadership Bursary from the Victorian government. You could apply for it. So I applied, and Jeanette also applied, and that's how I met Jeanette, and we were both successful. And it was an incredible $2,000, which was a fortune to me at that time. That then led me to be able to go on and do a leadership course with Marcus Oldham Ag College. And that was where I met Kerry Richards and some amazing people. And that then led to me getting a job within land care, and also being able to farm as well myself, and just gaining the confidence and the ability to believe in myself again, and the fact that I could do these things, and that everyone can do whatever dream that they have. You just got to believe in yourself and go out and grab that dream and work towards it. And I didn't really enter my head that the fact that, well, you know, only a small proportion of people get published. I just wanted to write the book. So I did, and sat down and wrote it. And so I went to Melbourne then, whilst I was, so basically those leadership courses and that grant, and I know the Queensland Rural Regional and Remote Women's runs the same kind of thing. That's now defunct, that particular grant, but then the next step would have been to go on to that more Australia-wide one where they choose one from each state. I didn't have a project for that at that stage, and probably would never have thought myself worthy of that at that point. But it helped me get to the point where I actually was able to support myself and my young son, and go on and live a wonderful, fulfilling life, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like that. I mean, I think the QRRRWN, you know, the themes of it is inspire, leadership, and train. And your example is one of where it really worked. I mean, you were a person in need, but you pushed yourself and you went for it, and you did it. It sounds amazing. Absolutely. By the way, I bought 2 of Kerry's masks last night. Kerry Richards, yes. She's making COVID face masks. I ordered 2 of them last night. She's going absolutely gangbusters with making COVID masks.
Yeah, it's really wonderful, isn't it? I just love it. I love watching Kerry succeed. I do.
What would be your message to people in Queensland? Because, I mean, I think a lot of women are trying to, and Tracy, you'd probably come in there, but a lot of women are trying to, because of the nature of agriculture, to diversify and find another outlet for their talents or their energy or whatever. I mean, farming, yes, it's the backbone of the operation, but to, as we said, you know, inspire, lead and train, you just got to get out and do it, have you?
I think so. Yeah, if you've got that dream, I think you just go out and grab it. I really do. I'm a big believer in that. I watched that Buy from the Bush concept on Facebook. It's extraordinary what people are doing out there. Absolutely extraordinary. Here on our farm, we run 400 acres. I run beef cattle. I run speckled parks, Angus and Herefords. We're specialising in speckled parks at the moment because there's a need for those bulls. So we're doing embryo transfer programs at the minute. You know, I've been selling bulls. Who would have thought? Me sell bulls? Gosh. Anyway, so yeah, it's amazing where life leads you. It's incredible, and I've always wanted to write books, and I've always wanted to farm, and it's you know, hard work gets you somewhere.
You've told us about inspiration. What's it like to write a bestseller? How do you feel?
To be honest, I really don't. I don't think about it like that. It's like it's someone else doing it, kind of thing. It really is. It's like, yeah, it's kind of surreal, I suppose. You know, when Bella's Run here, that's that one. It was a #1 Australian bestseller, and my publisher rang me up and she said, and she named off all these amazing, world authors, and then came me, and it was just ridiculous. Like you just can't put it together. And yeah, I don't know. I really can't answer that question because I don't think I've actually thought about it like that. I just write the book because I want to write a book.
You spoke about the publisher. How did you get a publisher?
When you write a book, it's basically 30% is writing the book, which is hard work, but 70% is actually about a saleable product. So it's where craft has to meet a product, a commercial product. When I was writing the book, it happened that rural fiction was starting to be a thing, like rural women authors, and I think my background just really helped because people can see I research. If I don't know something, I research it immensely. Like, for example, Hope's Road, I had to go and track up the bush behind a wild dog trapper and learn how to trap wild dogs so that I could write convincingly about that. And I think that's what people sense from my books, is that I'm not someone that's just taken a road trip to, Warrnambool or Hamilton or something, or to Walgett to write about these books, that I live and breathe it every day. So anyway, but yeah, I did my writing course in Melbourne. I went to Melbourne and did a creative writing course called The Year of the Novel, 6-hour round trip from here. And I did that for 2 years, every second month, and with the support of my incredible husband and 2 little kids in tow. And by the end of that, I had to learn as much about the craft of writing. I had to learn about the publishing industry. I had to learn about who was looking for what. And I was extremely lucky by the end of the 2 years that I actually was able to have a publishing contract. I had an agent who read my work, and I looked for an agent that lived outside mainstream Melbourne or Sydney. She said to me, "When's 50 k's out of Melbourne, the country?" I said, "When you're not in Sydney or Melbourne, And she took me on, and she put it out to 3 publishing houses, and I had a contract with Random House offered to me on my birthday. I was in the IGA supermarket in Maffra in the toilet roll aisle, and when she rang to say we had this contract, and I just screamed into the toilet rolls, and it was just amazing. I went out and bought a leucadendron plant to celebrate. Yeah.
And do they expect you? Sorry, do they expect you to write a book a year or a book every 2 years? I mean, once you've got a relationship with a publisher and you're a bestseller, are there real expectations on you to deliver?
Yeah, there is. It was a 2-book contract. So basically, once I'd signed the contract, I was expected to do a book a year. Now, that sounds like a reasonable amount of time, but you've got to bear in mind that you've got probably about 3 to 4 months to write the book. This is how it works for me anyway. You've got to promote the previous book, which you're doing basically author tours, so that takes six weeks. You've got to allow about 2 weeks to come home and die because you're just that exhausted. And then you start the whole writing process. Editing takes quite a number of months. It goes through exhaustive edits to make that actual manuscript into a publishable book, and then starts the pre-planning for the release of the book. And one of the reasons why Bella's Run was a #1 Australian bestseller wasn't because of me. It was because of the people of Gippsland got right behind me, and they pushed that book out to the rest of the world. And someone actually said to me, you need to, a couple of authors gave me some wonderful advice, and they said, don't expect it to just happen, the publisher to do it for you. They won't, because they're hedging a bet here. You're an unknown author and they're just putting it out there to see how it goes. So basically I had a plan, a bit like an extension plan that I would put in place when I was being a real extension officer. And we had 6 months out, 3 months out, 6 weeks out, the actual release of the book, 6 weeks after, what I was going to do. And I rang the seller that sells the books into the shops, and I asked her to tell me who takes real books. So then I cold sold myself. I rang every one of those bookstores in Victoria and New South Wales and sold myself to those people, begged them to let me have me in store, which they did. So my husband and I packed a caravan up and my 2 kids, and we went traipsing around Victoria and New South Wales through floodwaters out the back of Griffith somewhere we were. And I didn't care whether there was 5 people on the seats or 2 or 10 or 100. We got all that. But it was the publicity that came with it. And that's where Random House backed me up with that publicity. They would contact all the people in those towns that we were going to, and we would get the publicity, which then got the book sold. And then back in Gippsland, of course, we had all these store. They did a launch and had 200 people at that launch, and that was through their hard work. You know, like I just turned up, and it was amazing, and it was because of people talking to people. It's word of mouth and that bush telegraph and everything going on that actually made that book such a success.
I think the story of the book is another story in itself. You know, flogging the book. I mean, I think Kathy McGowan up in northeast Victoria would be really proud of you. Is that sense of really the community behind you, and I think you acknowledge that in the front of the book of just how many people were involved. What about you? What about the writers group? I mean, you're friends with Fleur McDonald and a whole range of other people. How important is that, backing that rural women's writers group to getting you through to the next book and, you know, taunting you or pushing you or whatever?
I don't know about taunting you, but the girls are amazing. I sit in awe of people like Fleur and Carly Lane, who can produce 2 books a year. I'm flat out to produce 1, and at the moment I'm on a bit of a hiatus trying to get my 2 younger children through high school, and we've had this incredibly horrible 3-year drought, as you all know, and just trying to get our stock through that. But the friendship of those girls is just lovely. They are all, you know, reasonably supportive of each other, which is lovely to see. My writing group here is actually a group of people that I met at when I was doing the Rural Year of the Novel in Melbourne, of all places. And they embraced me, this country chick that had no idea how to actually get to the writing group at the State Library in Melbourne, and actually walked rather than use the tram because I didn't know how to use the card thing. And they've been incredible. They're just the support, and particularly a couple of the girls. Jen Scholar is a rural author, and my friend Kate. Kate and I brainstorm every book that I write. So I come up with a concept. Half the time I don't know what it's about, so I ring Kate. I say, this is like a cohesive idea. I go, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Anyway, and then I go about writing the book. So it's people like that are there, got my back, and are there, and I try and have theirs. Kate does the same thing to me. I pour back to her, she pours to me, and then I make some cohesive sense of it. So yeah, but then those other rural authors, they're all just there. We're all trying to promote each other when we come to each other's area, which is just lovely. And yeah, they're a really nice bunch of girls. They just and their success is just amazing, you know, like what they all write about, and their diversity of what they write about. You know, we used to get all hung up because it was called rural romance. Well, I think reaching 50, I kind of lost the plot with that. I don't care what they call it. They can call it whatever they like. We just write the book, you know, and people like to read the book. Well, isn't that great? You know, an escape from modern day. That's kind of good.
We want to ask you about what you're writing next, but how do you balance it all? I mean, the family, writing, the farm business, you spoke about Speckled Park, you spoke about the drought. You must have an incredibly forgiving family. Your little son, who's now probably in his 20s, who was on your hip when you're a single mum. How do you balance it all?
Not very well sometimes. I was writing at 5 in the morning. That's the only time I could get the time to write. You roll out of bed, basically you get that cup of tea, it's dead dark, you turn the heater on and you just sit down and write because your head is empty. The day has not started. And I'd go till 7 when I'm on a book between 5 and 7. And then I'd have to go out and make the lunches and get the kids on the bus by 7:30. Incredible husband, absolutely amazing. And yeah, I don't know, just incredible family. And my dad, he's an incredible backup. You know, he's been a farmer for, I don't know, what is he, 84? So he's been farming since he was 16. So he backs me up all the time as well. I can't move cows today. Well, he moves the cows for me, whatever. I have, as I say, had a hiatus for the last 3 years. My daughter decided she wanted to, I think, be in the Olympics in 2024 or something for the swimming. So I spend a lot of time on the road with that, running her to swimming. But that's her thing. That's getting her through. She's 15, so that's getting her through her teenagehood. So it's 3/4 an hour to the pool, so it's an hour and a half out of my day, as well as waiting around. So for her to finish swimming. So I write and I concept there in the car while I'm waiting. And yeah, I don't know how we fit it in. We just do, don't we? You just got to do it. You just.
Well, I think Georgie Somerset's on the call at the moment, and I think she amazes me about how she goes. She's got an inspiration, but the incredible drive to push through. That there's seems to be very much a part of your life. Georgie wants to know: do you write freehand or type? And how many books do you have in your head?
Oh gosh, I see that chat thing now. I type. I plan the book on big pieces of butcher's paper that I beg out of the butcher, and or the big sketchbooks, and I actually plan the book to a certain degree. I'm a very muchly an organic writer though, so I have goalposts. And I have to go from here to there. I don't care how I get there. I might go left, right, and everything. And in fact, I came out to my sister when I was writing my latest book, Lake Hill, which is this one. And she was living with us for a little while at the time. Her son was battling cancer. And I came out bawling my eyes out. And she goes, "What's happened, Mary? What's happening to the kids? What's happened to you?" And I said, "Oh, no." I said, "I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't want her to die." So yeah, who knows? So I do type. Yeah, it all comes out of my head in that first draft, 5 till 7 in the morning, and then you work from there. You can't edit a blank page. That was one of the key things they told me at the creative writing course, and they're exactly right. You can't edit a blank page. You just get it all out. Doesn't matter what it looks like. It looks as ugly as anything. You would never show anyone your first draft, ever. And you keep going for that. And how many books in my head? Oh, God, I can't even tell. At the moment, I've got 3 ideas that are running in there. I've just got to work out which one's going to last 100,000 words.
So you're driven by the demands of the publisher a little bit?
To be honest, I actually aren't. I'm not at the moment, because they came to me after Lake Hill and asked me what did I want to write. I had carte blanche, and I said I just need to walk away from this for a while. That's what I need to do. I need to get back to my family. I need to concentrate on my kids and my husband and my mum, get us through this drought, get the kids through secondary school, and then I can think about it. I've been approached though by another publisher a couple of times recently, but you know, at the moment I'm just I'm really happy not to have that contract over my head. I'm really happy because it makes me feel like I want to go back and write now. I've refound basically that mystique and the magic and the joy of writing.
What's triggered that? What's helped you find that magic and the joy?
Farming, just being out there with the cows, basically. Yeah, without sounding trite or ridiculous or twee, but that's what, just by being out there. Like, I was feeding the cows last year. I was nearly in tears, as you all probably were at times. You know, we just relying on pellets and hay, what hay we could get hold of, which at the time was just this rotten old canola. And I was just looking at them thinking, oh my God, how are we going to keep going? Like, what am I going to do here? You know, I reduced the down to, I think it was 30 or 40 head by then. And I was just back to my key breeding stock, and these yellow-tailed black cockatoos went overhead, a whole flock of them. And you know the noise that they make, and they were wheeling, and it was just this whole book come to my head, like this whole story, this whole concept, this idea, and I came home and I wrote that idea down, and that's one of the ones that I'm thinking about at the moment.
Well, look, I think it's been a real pleasure to have you here. What would you, we've got Georgie's another question. Julia's Baird's book, Phosphorescence, talks about the connection with nature and how it leads to creativity. It seems to me that you would really agree with that your environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I would totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. And other things too, these, you're going to laugh at me, but these fabrics, like I just happened to be in the shop, and these fabrics, I don't know what they're doing here, but they are part of a story that's coming, along with, like, the same shop had this little cup. Like, isn't that just the most cutest little cup, like near me with the glasses and everything? So obviously something's going to be very retro in the next book. There's another, it's prompts like this. Just bear with me a moment. Diary that my great-great-grandmother wrote back in the late 1800s. And this is her daily diary. This is her story. Like, it's just stuff like that. And we've got 4 of these. So it gives me an idea of her voice. So I have her voice here. And this is, for example, from this is one of her later ones from 1913. All is well. Thank God for his never-failing blessings. This day is still hot and dry, but let us hope we may soon have a good pour down of rain, and it will alter everything. I had greenup in this morning. They are in their usual way. She was a Quaker. She lost 4 children and her husband. He was gnawed by a bull. He imported a bull when he came here to Tamamba. They came to Port Albert, and they crossed, like, numerous rivers and came hundreds of kilometres in a 2-wheel dray till they got to Mafra, and then they were told to head west for 10 kilometres to a peg in the ground, and that's how our property started. And as I say, one of the original homesteads is still there with my uncle there. So there's just that much stuff that I've got to draw on, and it's little things like that that just trip you off, and you know, the story just comes.
Well, I think it's been really fantastic to talk to you, and it's so good for the group to have somebody who's actually writing. I mean, you can read the book and you can talk about it as a group, and you'd say, I like that, and she did this and she did that. And I had a book group last night talking about Boy Who Swallowed the Universe. But imagine if we'd had, you know, having you here talking about your story. We've all read the book, and so we've got a bit familiar with the romance fiction, but your story is just so magnificent. And I hate this, but I'm going to ask you, what would you tell your 17-year-old self? Any advice for your 17-year-old self? Because you've been through an incredible journey.
My 17-year-old self, I would tell her to go out there, go north, work on that station that you really want to work on, and just see where life's going to lead you from there. I would say have confidence in yourself as a rural woman and as a farmer, and your ability to shine in that arena, rather than listen to my wonderful, mind you, patriarchal dad, who told me no, women can't be farmers. We have to go and be nurses and teachers instead. I would tell my 17-year-old self, which is what I'm telling my 15-year-old daughter, who was in living embodiment of myself, is yes, get those rural qualifications, get that ag degree or that ag diploma or whatever you want, get that piece of paper, and yes, go north. Do whatever you want to do. You know, believe in yourself.
Well, I